And he says to me when I'm connecting, he's sorry for what happened between you and dad, he keeps telling me.
Yeah, they're together still, but they kind of just live their lives.
Your son says to me that he wants you to get close with his father. He goes, I'm sorry for what happened. I'm sorry for what happened. He goes, I don't want them, he says, to be separated because of me. Hi, Brenda, how are you?
Hi, how are
there
you?
Go. Where are you guys from?
Rhode Island.
Oh my God, I'm so glad that you're here.
Oh, this is a dream come true.
Well, first of all, I got to tell you, there's a couple souls that I'm hearing from. But first of all, there's this young male that's pushing through that will not leave me alone on the other side.
My sister's son passed away when he was 5.
He's here because when I'm connecting, he kept saying to me that he was looking for his mom. He was looking for his mom.
Come on.
Oh, you're here. No wonder why. He kept saying to me, I'm looking for my mom. I'm looking for my mom. So first of all, that was your son that passed?
Yes.
Know that that's his way of letting you know that he's on the other side. And hold on, wait a minute. There's this man with him. He keeps telling me his grandfather's there. Yeah. So you lost your dad as well?
Father-in-law.
Father-in-law, sorry. That soul's also there because he keeps saying, grandpa's here, he keeps telling me. So know that your son is with him on the other side. Wait, can you bring her more on screen or push this over? It's funny because I love how you're totally off screen and your son is the one who is trying to find you. First of all, I got to tell you that your son, first of all, wants to thank you for the way that you tried to keep him alive here in this world. He says to me that there were so many issues that were going on with him before his passing. And more importantly, your son just told me about treatments. He was going for treatments, and there were treatments that were happening. Can I tell you everything?
Yes. You can.
Your son tells me he was born sick. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
He said to me, Matt, he goes, I was born sick. He goes, and Matt, he goes, I want my mom to know. He says that if it wasn't for her, I would have never lived as long as I did here in this world. Yeah. He tells me that he wants to thank you for the way that you brought him near and far to different doctors. And more importantly, about the way that you believed in your son when nobody else was taking things seriously, or people weren't understanding the true extent of what was going on with him. Your son's also telling me you used to tell him that he had to be brave because he talks about having to have certain procedures or surgeries done. And first of all, I got to tell you, your son says to me, Mom, he says, I'm your little man. Oh. Well, I don't know why he's telling me that. Did you call him your little man here in this world?
Yeah.
Like he shows me that even though he was so young, he was just 5 years old when he had passed, your son is showing me that in heaven, like his soul is so mature because of the things that he used to have to go through here in this world. Like he's such an old soul when I'm connecting with him because he had so many experiences here in life that most people, wouldn't have to go through at his age. He says, but the one thing that he wants to thank you for is the way that you also allowed him to be a kid as well. He says, because there were times when he couldn't go to school or he wasn't able to go to school. And he tells me about you teaching him from home. Do you understand that? Your son is also whispering in my ear, talk about the tattoo. So did you have a tattoo done in his memory? He's telling me about the tattoo.
I'm covered in tattoos, but
I have one with his name on it, but before he passed.
Hello, pay attention. So you had a tattoo done in memory of your son.
Yeah.
Before he had passed. So no, it's his way of acknowledging that because he says to me, Matt, we were going through this together. And you know what's so crazy? He was pointing, see that butterfly in the corner there? He's pointing to that butterfly up on the door and he says to me, Matt, that's the sign I used to reach my mom that same way. So do you see butterflies that remind you of your son?
I do.
Yeah.
So I'm his aunt and those are my signs of him, butterflies.
Perfect.
Yep.
Know that that's his way of letting you know that he's there. He says to me, Matt, you need to let my mom know about how well I'm doing in heaven because you keep thinking about him every single day. And you wonder how old he would be, what he'd be doing right now, all of these different things. And this is your son's way of letting you know on the other side that he is fine. Now, when I'm connecting with him, was he obsessed with the Lion King here in this world? I keep hearing that song, I Can't Wait to Be King, in my ear. Did he used to play that song? What's the connection with that song?
Being a king. Well, he wanted to win a championship. He wanted the belt to be
Wrestling.
the king.
Shut the hell up. So know that would be the reason why. See, souls will do certain things to get my attention. He keeps telling me this when I keep talking to him. And he says to me, Matt, he goes, please let my mom know one thing. He says, please let her know. He says that when I passed, he says it was not a scary experience to me. He says, I was not afraid to leave this world. And you need to know that. And even though you lost him in this way, and even though it was tragic in the way that he had passed because he had suffered so much, your son says to me, I want you to know that you protected me from everything that happened within life. And he wants to thank you for that. Your son says to me that what he wants you to know is that he will keep visiting you in your dreams because he tells me he comes to visit you time and time again. So when you get those dreams from him, please know that that's real. And he says to me when I'm connecting, he's sorry for what happened between you and dad, he keeps telling me.
Yeah,
He
they're together still, but they kind of just live their lives just day by day after he had passed away.
Your son says to me that he wants you to get close with his father. That's what he's telling me, because he keeps saying to me, he goes, I'm sorry for what happened. I'm sorry for what happened. He goes, I don't want them, he says, to be separated because of me. So he says to me that the one thing that he wants you to know is that on the other side, he says, I'm worried about you. The same way that you looked after your son here in life, he's here and he's looking after you right here and right now, because he's bringing that through. And he also says to me when I'm connecting, please just let my mom know one thing. He says that every time that you think of him, he hears that in heaven. It's almost like ringing the doorbell. Your son says to me every single moment, he goes, I hear her and I'm there. Oh, and one other thing, he says to me, your son is so chatty on this other side. He thinks this is so cool that he can talk like this, because he also just showed me his handprints. I feel like you just found his handprints.
Yes, we all have a picture of his handprints.
That's crazy, because he just went like this. He goes, remember this, remember this. And I saw him taking pictures and he's putting his hands on the handprints, which is his way of letting you know that that's his mark here in this world, that when you think about him and you miss him, he goes, just look at my handprints, that I made those for everyone. So know that that's his way of letting you know the fact that you all have that handprint of his. It's his way of letting you know on the other side that he is okay, that he is there and with you. And every single day that goes by, he says, I want you to know that I am safe and at peace. My soul is with you and my soul is guiding you.
Thank you.
Right? I'm going to leave you with that.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Did you also lose the fiance?
My daughter's father passed away. We were together, but not a fiance. We weren't like engaged, but we were together for a long time.
He's here. He just said to me, that would have been my wife. That's what he said to me.
Probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen, don't say another word. I'm going to tell you, he just grabbed me and he says, he's a tough bastard. He just grabbed me like this. And he goes to me, Matt, wait, I didn't get to speak. And I just felt like almost like sometimes like a feel span. I felt somebody like almost like push me, like, wait, no, I gotta come through. And I'm like, well, who the hell are you? And he goes to me, I thought it was your fiance. He's here. You're gonna understand, as a medium, I don't know your life. So the fact that you were never married here in this world, that always shows to me as a fiance or significant other.
I didn't always say I was gonna, if he was still alive, I'd probably marry him because he was probably the best one.
Well, I
didn't think that at the time.
Other men. That's a true Rhode Island statement right there. Like, yeah, out of all of them, he was probably the best. That's such a backhanded compliment, but I'll take it. All right, so know that first of all, he's here because the first thing that he said to me goes, Matt, I want to let her know I'm sorry. He just said to me. So know that first of all, he wants to say that he's stepping forward because he did love you very much here in the physical world. Even though he tells me, he goes, Matt, I'm going to be honest. He goes, she didn't trust me here in this world. He says to me, and he goes, that's why we used to get into fights all the time, because he shows me that there were times when literally you'd be in the car and following him around to see where the hell he was going, what he was doing.
Yeah.
He knows about that now, you know. He says to Matt, he goes to me, and Matt, he goes, I could never keep shit away from this woman. He goes, she knew my every whereabouts, what I was doing, when I was lying, and it drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Wait.
I love being a private detective.
Why did he was a shyster here in the physical world when I'm connected with him. He just showed me he had another phone. What's the connection with the separate phone or the different phone number?
I don't know. He's telling you secret stuff. I don't know.
He's telling me about a track phone. How did you connect with the track phone or him having a track phone?
I don't know. He must have kept that good and secret from me.
He tells me it was in his car. He had the truck here in the physical world.
Yeah.
He told me it was in the truck. It was in the truck. Was that a one he used to do business on?
He might have. He might have.
I don't know. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Can I tell you everything?
Yes, I want to hear it.
He's telling me when I'm connected. There was sometimes he got in trouble with the police here in the physical world when I'm connected with him.
Yes.
And he goes to me, Matt, he goes, I knew how to hide things. And he showed me him having like this track phone, like this phone that didn't have a number on it. It was just like this weird, like a phone that wasn't his, like his everyday phone. I see it in a truck when I'm connected. He goes, that's my business phone. He goes, I used to do that for business. I don't know what type of business he did. I don't want to know what type of business he did. All I know is that that's what he tells me he had. Why are you whispering in the back over there?
It's funny because, go ahead, Carrie.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It does definitely connects.
Was he dealing drugs with that phone?
Sometimes, yeah. I think
because he had a list on that phone, and I see he had his phone, which was a nice phone, like an iPhone or whatever the hell it was. And then I see this little shit ass phone that he's got over there that he's making phone calls with.
Yeah, he was like that. I do think about him often because we have a granddaughter now. And
don't tell me anything. I'm gonna tell you what he says to me. He says, that's what you pay me for. He says to me, he says, Matt, he goes, I want to let her know one thing. He says, I wish, he says, that I made the right choices here in my life. That's what he tells me. He says, I spent so much time doing these other things. He says, avoiding the cops. He says, hiding this, hiding that, changing where I was, doing all these things. He says that I took time away from our relationship and I took time away from our family. And I hurt you and I hurt my kids in the meantime, he's telling me. So he wants to let you know right here and right now. He goes, Matt, he goes, I want to let her know that I'm sorry for that. And he wants to thank you for being the mother that you are. And more importantly, for the way that you stepped up to the plate every time that he fell short. That's what's so important. He says something, Matt, please tell her I will always love you. He says, and I want her to know one thing. He says, I want her to know, he says, that every day that goes by, I am there and with her. He also wants to thank you for keeping shirts of his. There's some shirts that you have and clothes that sometimes you wear of his that he's telling me. He says, and I want to let you know that every day that goes by, he says, I am here and watching over you. He goes, and he's going like this. And he goes, Matt, transitioning to the other side wasn't perfect for me. He goes, there was a lot of things that I regretted. He goes, there's a lot of things that I had to make up for in heaven. He says, but I want to let you know that on the other side, I am here and right now. And my soul is always there and watching over her.
Can you ask him one question?
Yes, if he tells me.
We all wonder if he committed suicide or did he want to die? Like the way we found him.
So I'm going to tell you right now, this was not a suicide.
He didn't. Okay. He didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. Okay.
No, I will tell you that he didn't, because he's showing me that he used to take things at the time. He was on drugs at the time. He's telling me. He tells me that he did have an addiction issue that he was back and forth with. And I would know right away if somebody passed of suicide or what it was. And I'm going to tell you how he had passed. His body had gone through a lot here in this world. Whatever he had taken that day, this wasn't just an overdose. It caused a heart attack. That's how he had died. He died of a heart attack due to the drugs or the things that he had taken. Because I felt my heart come out of my chest, and then he just died.
Okay, and he sees our granddaughter?
Oh, absolutely. And know that this is his way of acknowledging that he sees it all. This is his way of letting you know that he is okay. And more importantly, that his soul is watching over you in spirit.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm going to leave you with that.